The secret to becoming unstoppable begins with a decision, one single powerful, non-negotiable decision that has the ability to redirect the entire course of a person's life. Most people underestimate the weight of a decision because they think decisions are just thoughts. But a real decision is not a thought. It is a commitment that changes your identity, your attitude, and your behavior instantly. A decision is not when you wish for a new life. A decision is when you declare, I refuse to live like this any longer, and everything inside you starts to align with that declaration. This is where transformation truly begins. Nothing in your life changes until you change, and you cannot change until you decide who you are going to be from this moment forward. The reason so many people feel stuck is not because they lack opportunities, resources, or talent. It's because they have not made a firm decision. They are trying to live a new life with an undecided mind, and an undecided mind creates an unstable life. A person who hasn't fully decided will always hesitate, always question, always look back. But once a decision becomes final, hesitation dies, fear weakens, doubt loses credibility, you gain a kind of inner authority that makes you move differently. When you decide with conviction, something awakens inside you that was silent before. You stop negotiating with your excuses. You stop entertaining the opinions of people who do not live your life. You stop waiting for conditions to be perfect. Instead, you become intentional. You become disciplined. You become focused on what matters because your mind is no longer split in two directions. A person with a made-up mind is more powerful than a person with more resources, more experience, or more support. Why? Because nothing is stronger than a human being operating from a place of absolute clarity. Think about it this way: when you make a weak decision, your future becomes optional. But when you make a powerful decision, your future becomes inevitable. A true decision rearranges everything: your habits, your circle, your priorities, your conversations, your environment. The moment you decide to become unstoppable, you begin removing everything that keeps you ordinary. You stop giving energy to distractions. You stop feeding your fears. You stop wasting time on things that don't serve your purpose. This is the beginning of personal power. Most people are waiting for motivation. They think they need to feel strong before they act strong. They think they need confidence before they take a step. But the truth is that confidence comes after the decision, not before it. Motivation shows up after the decision, not before it. Action becomes easier after the decision, not before it. The moment you decide, you create internal momentum, and that momentum begins to push you toward your destiny before anything around you changes. There is a difference between wanting something and deciding for it. Wanting is weak. Wanting says, I hope. Wanting says, maybe someday. Wanting says, if everything goes right. But a decision says, this will happen, and I will adjust my life until it becomes real. A decision carries commitment, and commitment is the birthplace of transformation. The people who change their lives are not the most gifted people. They are the most decided people. Here's the deeper truth. The world respects a made-up mind. Opportunities favor made-up mind. Destiny responds to a made-up mind. Even God waits on a made-up mind. When you decide who you are going to become, everything in creation begins moving to support that identity. It's not magic, it's alignment. Your decisions send signals that reshape your reality. The reason ordinary people remain ordinary is not because greatness is unreachable. It's because they never make the decision that activates greatness. But the moment you decide, I am done living on the level beneath my potential, you trigger a new level of strength you didn't know you had. You begin to break patterns that once controlled you. You step into a mindset that refuses to quit. You start carrying yourself like someone who is going somewhere. A powerful decision also creates separation. It separates you from the person you used to be. It separates you from the comfort that once kept you small. It separates you from the limitations that once felt permanent. And most importantly, it separates you from the version of yourself that tolerated mediocrity. You cannot be unstoppable as long as you are still negotiating with your old self. But once you decide that there is no turning back, you burn the bridge to your past, and the only direction left is forward. This is why the secret to becoming unstoppable begins with a decision. Not a quiet decision, not a soft decision, not a convenient decision, but a life-altering decision that demands everything in you to rise higher. You cannot step into an unstoppable future with a half-hearted mindset. You must decide with full force, full belief, and full commitment. And here's the beauty of it. The moment you decide, you don't need to have all the answers. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need approval. What you need is the courage to say, I'm choosing a new direction and I'm not negotiating my destiny anymore. Once you choose that path, the strength, the resources, the clarity, and the opportunities begin showing up. So yes, the secret to becoming unstoppable is a decision to rise, a decision to grow, a decision to break limits, a decision to become who you were always capable of becoming. And once you make that decision, truly make it, nothing in this world will be able to stop you because you will no longer be stopping yourself. Unstoppable people are not born, they are built. This truth is one of the most liberating and empowering realities you will ever understand. Too many individuals believe that greatness is a genetic advantage, a special gift handed out to a selected few. They think some people are just born confident, born disciplined, born courageous, born successful. But that is a lie that keeps the majority of people sitting on the sidelines of their own destiny. The real truth is that extraordinary power is shaped, formed, and developed through choices, challenges, and consistent action. Nothing about becoming unstoppable is accidental. It is the result of intentional growth. When you understand this, you no longer envy those who are ahead of you. You learn from them. You no longer feel unqualified. You become trained. You no longer feel behind. You understand that you are in the process of building the person you are becoming. Every unstoppable person you admire today had a beginning. Their beginning did not look like success. It did not look glamorous. It did not look powerful. It looked ordinary. It looked confusing. It looked uncomfortable. Because every great story begins with a normal human being who makes an abnormal decision to rise above what life handed them. Becoming unstoppable is a construction process. Think of it as building a skyscraper. The higher the building, the deeper the foundation. The more powerful the life, the more pressure required to shape it. People who have never built anything meaningful assume that pressure is punishment. But those who understand construction know that pressure is preparation. Strength grows in the places where resistance is present. A person without resistance becomes fragile. A person with resistance becomes strong. This is why unstoppable people are built through difficulty, not comfort. Every challenge you face is not there to break you. It's there to build you. That disappointment you survived, that failure you outlasted, that betrayal you overcame, that fear you confronted, all of it was shaping you for the future you are stepping into. Life does not give you strength by handing it to you. Life gives you strength by demanding it from you. You become stronger because you are required to. You become wiser because you have to be. You become resilient because the journey forces you to develop resilience. This is the process that turns ordinary people into unstoppable forces. People often talk about talent as if it is the main ingredient of success. But talent without development is wasted potential. Discipline turns talent into mastery. Consistency turns talent into results. Mindset turns talent into impact. Hard work turns talent into fruit. And faith turns talent into purpose. So even if someone is born with natural ability, they still must be built into greatness. They must face struggle. They must practice. They must grow. They must learn. Nobody escapes the building phase. Unstoppable people understand that greatness is a decision followed by development. They do not depend on gifts. They depend on growth. They don't ask, how gifted am I? They ask, how committed am I? Commitment can outperform talent any day of the week. History is filled with examples of ordinary individuals with average skills who became extraordinary because they refused to remain average. They refused to shrink. They refused to quit. They refused to settle for a life that did not align with their potential. Becoming unstoppable requires intentional habits. You don't think your way into power. You build your way into power. You build it through discipline, training, reading, learning, failing, adjusting, and trying again. Unstoppable people don't wake up with supernatural courage. They build courage by doing things that scare them daily. They don't wake up with a flawless confidence. They build confidence by keeping their promises to themselves. They don't wake up with high standards. They build those standards by refusing to tolerate anything that weakens them. A powerful truth is this: who you become is far more important than what you achieve. Achievements can be taken away. Success can rise and fall. Circumstances can shift. But the person you become through the process, the discipline, the strength, the mindset, the resilience, that is permanent. Once you are built, you cannot be unbuilt. Once you learn how to rise, you cannot forget. Once you understand your strength, you cannot pretend to be weak again. The building process also changes how you see obstacles. Ordinary people see problems and stop. Unstoppable people see problems and grow. Ordinary people see challenges and retreat. Unstoppable people see challenges and rise. Ordinary people see failure as final. Unstoppable people see failure as information. They do not lose because the process taught them how to win from every situation. Even when circumstances do not work in their favor, they work the circumstances in their favor. You must understand that the building process is slow, and many people quit because they try to speed it up. But lasting transformation is never rushed. You cannot microwave greatness. You cannot shortcut mastery. You cannot sprint through development. You are not building a temporary structure. You are building a legacy, and legacies are built brick by brick, day by day, choice by choice. There will be days when you want to quit. There will be days when you feel like the process is too heavy, too long, too lonely. But those who become unstoppable understand that temporary discomfort is a small price for permanent strength. They understand that every sacrifice is an investment. Every delay is preparation. Every setback is education. Every challenge is construction. They don't ask, how long will this take? They ask, how strong will this make me? Being built into an unstoppable person requires accountability. You must hold yourself to a higher standard than those around you. You must refuse to let your emotions dictate your decisions. You must learn to show up even when you are tired, discouraged, or afraid. Your feelings cannot be your leader. Your purpose must be your leader. Your vision must be your leader. Your commitment must be your leader. And just like any construction project, there will come a day when everything you have been building becomes visible, a day when the person you have become stands tall and undeniable, a day when people look at you and say, how did you get here? They won't see the nights you cried. They won't see the moments you doubted. They won't see the battles you fought privately. They will only see the finished structure, but you will know. You will know that you were brick by brick, challenge by challenge, moment by moment. And that is what makes an ordinary person unstoppable. Not magic, not luck, not talent, but intentional growth, deliberate development, and the unwavering decision to become someone powerful, disciplined, resilient, and unshakable. You are not born unstoppable. You are built into it. And you are being built right now. Obstacles are not roadblocks. They are invitations to rise. This truth changes your entire relationship with difficulty. Most people spend their lives trying to avoid challenges, believing that ease is a sign of progress and hardship is a sign of failure. But the opposite is often true. The very things people run from are the things designed to build them. The very situations they complain about are the situations meant to elevate them. The obstacle is never the enemy. The obstacle is the opportunity disguised in a form most people are too discouraged to recognize. When something difficult enters your life, it is not there to stop you. It is there to reveal you. You cannot know your strength until something tests it. You cannot know your resilience until something pressures it. You cannot know your commitment until something challenges it. Obstacles expose the version of you that needs to grow, and they awaken the version of you that is waiting to emerge. Every time you face resistance, you are presented with two choices: retreat to the familiar or rise into the extraordinary. Most people choose comfort, not because they lack ability, but because they misunderstand the purpose of obstacles. Obstacles are not punishments, they are pathways. They guide you toward the skills, the mindset, and the character you need to reach the next level of your life. Without obstacles, you would remain soft, unprepared, and underdeveloped. You would never learn the power that sleeps inside you. Every great individual was forged through difficulties. Their stories are filled with moments in which they could have quit but didn't. Those moments became the turning points that transformed their lives. Think of the seed. When it is buried in the ground, darkness surrounds it, pressure covers it, dirt suffocates it. But the seed does not panic. It understands the assignment. What looks like burial is actually planting. What looks like death is preparation for life. What looks like a problem is the environment necessary for growth. The seed pushes against the soil, not because the soil is the enemy, but because the soil is the resistance that strengthens it. Without that resistance, the seed could never break open, take root, and rise. You are the same. The things that press against you are not meant to overwhelm you. They are meant to develop you. When life pushes you, push back. When life stretches you, stretch further. When life challenges you, respond with elevation. Difficulty is a sign that growth is happening. Resistance is a signal that you are entering new territory. Most people give up not because the obstacle is too big, but because their belief is too small. An obstacle is only as strong as the weakness inside you. The moment you strengthen that part of yourself, your discipline, your mindset, your courage, the obstacle loses its power. It doesn't disappear, but it becomes manageable. You rise above what once intimidated you. Obstacles also refine your focus. When life gets hard, you are forced to identify what truly matters. Distractions fall away. Your purpose becomes clearer. You start differentiating between what is urgent and what is important. Hardship sharpens your vision. It makes you stop drifting and start deciding. Without obstacles, people drift through life with no sense of urgency. With obstacles, people wake up to the truth that their time and potential cannot be wasted. Another powerful truth is this: obstacles deepen your character. Character is not built through ease. Ease keeps you comfortable, but comfort never produces greatness. Character is built when you choose integrity over convenience, discipline over pleasure, and perseverance over quitting. The version of you that breaks through an obstacle is always wiser, stronger, and more prepared than the version of you that entered it. This is why unstoppable people welcome challenges, not because they enjoy pain, but because they understand the purpose behind it. Obstacles also reveal your environment. When you face difficulty, you discover who is truly with you and who is only with your comfort. Some people disappear the moment things get hard. Let them go. Hardship removes the wrong people and strengthens the right ones. It teaches you who your allies are and who your distractions are. Challenges purify your circle so that you don't carry dead weight into your destiny. But perhaps the most beautiful thing about obstacles is this: they are often the bridges to the places you prayed for. You asked for strength, so life gave you situations that required strength. You asked for confidence, so life gave you moments to face fear. You asked for growth, so life gave you challenges that demanded development. You asked for elevation, so life gave you resistance to elevate against. Every obstacle is a response to your future. Every hardship is aligned with your destiny. When you begin seeing obstacles this way, your entire life shifts. Instead of saying, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin saying, "What is this preparing me for?" Instead of asking, "When will this end?" you begin asking, "Who am I becoming because of this?" Instead of complaining, you begin learning. Instead of retreating, you begin rising. There will be days when the obstacle feels heavy, days when you feel overwhelmed, days when quitting seems easier. But remember, an obstacle becomes a wall only when you stop climbing. As long as you keep moving, it becomes a staircase. The difference between a roadblock and a stepping stone is not the obstacle itself. It's your response to it. The strongest people in the world are not those who never faced hardship. They are those who learned how to turn hardship into fuel. They turned pain into purpose. They turned loss into wisdom. They turned failure into education. They turned setbacks into strategies. They turned obstacles into elevation. You have the same ability. Once you begin to see obstacles as invitations to rise, fear loses its hold on you. You stop running from challenges. You confront them. You stop feeling attacked. You feel trained. You stop breaking down, you start breaking through. This mindset removes the need for perfect conditions. You no longer wait for life to become easy. You become stronger than the difficulty in front of you. And that is what separates the unstoppable from the ordinary. Ordinary people want a path with no obstacles. Unstoppable people want the strength to overcome whatever stands in their way. Ordinary people fear challenges. Unstoppable people use challenges. Ordinary people see resistance as a reason to quit. Unstoppable people see resistance as a reason to rise higher. When you embrace obstacles as part of your journey, you unlock a level of resilience, creativity, determination, and faith that you never knew you had. Everything you want in life, success, confidence, purpose, greatness, lies on the other side of an obstacle. But you will never reach it by avoiding difficulty. You reach it by rising through difficulty. So yes, obstacles are not roadblocks. They are invitations. Invitations to grow, invitations to evolve, invitations to strengthen your character, invitations to step into your destiny. And every time you accept that invitation, you become harder to stop. Your identity determines your destiny because you can never consistently live a life that is different from the way you see yourself. Every action you take, every decision you make, every limit you break, and every opportunity you step into all flow from the identity you carry on the inside. Many people are stuck not because life is unfair, not because opportunities are missing, not because talent is lacking, but because they are living with an identity that is too small for the future they desire. They want greatness, but they see themselves as average. They want impact, but they see themselves as insignificant. They want breakthroughs, but they see themselves as unworthy. Your life can only rise to the level of the identity you accept. Identity is powerful because it shapes your beliefs, and your beliefs shape your behaviors. If you believe you are capable, you act accordingly. If you believe you are powerless, you also act accordingly. Identity is the blueprint of your destiny. Before a building is constructed, the blueprint determines its height, its structure, and its foundation. Destiny works the same way. Your identity becomes the blueprint for everything you build in your life. You cannot construct a skyscraper with the blueprint of a small house. And you cannot build an extraordinary life with a limited identity. Most people never question their identity. They simply adopt whatever life, society, or their past has handed them. They accept labels that were never theirs. They internalize the opinions of people who didn't build them, didn't create them, and don't understand their purpose. They allow childhood experiences, failures, mistakes, and limitations to define who they are. But identity is not something you discover in your past. It is something you decide in your present. You have the authority to choose who you will be moving forward. When your identity changes, everything changes. A person who begins to see themselves as disciplined will start acting disciplined. A person who sees themselves as worthy will stop tolerating disrespect. A person who sees themselves as a winner will keep getting up even after they fall. It's not the environment that changes first. It's the identity. Once the internal shifts, the external follows. Your identity sets your standards. The standards you tolerate in your relationships, your habits, your work ethic, and your environment all come from how you see yourself. If you see yourself as someone who deserves excellence, you will expect excellence from yourself and from those around you. If you see yourself as someone who doesn't deserve success, you will sabotage opportunities the moment they come. Your identity becomes the thermostat of your life. Even if success heats you up temporarily, the thermostat will pull you back down to the level you believe you belong at. This is why many people experience temporary breakthroughs, but not lasting transformation. Their outer life changes for a moment, but their inner identity never shifts. They try to upgrade their life without upgrading themselves. They chase goals, but never change the person pursuing those goals. And when the pressure hits, they revert back to the identity that feels familiar, even if that identity is painful or limiting. You cannot rise beyond the identity you have accepted. Identity is shaped through repetition, repeated thoughts, repeated behaviors, repeated environments, and repeated words. Anything you hear long enough, you start to believe. Anything you repeat long enough, you start to embody. Anything you tolerate long enough, you start to become. This means you must be intentional about what you expose your mind to. You must protect your self-concept like your life depends on it, because it does. Your identity is also influenced by the voices you allow into your life. People who constantly speak doubt, fear, and negativity sharpen your insecurity. People who challenge you, believe in you, and expect more from you sharpen your potential. Sometimes the greatest shift in identity comes from changing the voices around you. Not everyone has the right to shape who you become. Surround yourself with voices that remind you of your power, not your limitations. Another crucial truth is this: your identity is not defined by your past. Your past is an experience. Your identity is a decision. The mistakes you made were moments, not definitions. The failures you experienced were lessons, not labels. The identity that makes you unstoppable is forged through intention, not history. You get to decide who you will be today, not who you were yesterday. Identity also determines how you respond to challenges. When a person with a weak identity faces difficulty, they collapse. They internalize the problem. They see the obstacle as proof that they are not enough. But when a person with a strong identity faces difficulty, they rise. They do not question their worth. They question their strategy. They do not doubt themselves. They adjust themselves. The challenge does not shake their identity. Their identity shakes the challenge. Confidence, consistency, and courage are identity-based. People often think they need to feel confident before they act, but confidence is a byproduct of identity. When you see yourself as someone capable, you act without hesitation. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's the expression of identity. Consistency becomes natural when it aligns with who you believe you are. Everything you want to develop externally must first be established internally. Identity determines what you attract. People with low identity attract low quality relationships, low standards, low opportunities, and low results. People with high identity attract people who challenge them, opportunities that stretch them, and environments that develop them. You will always attract what aligns with your internal self-image. When you upgrade your identity, your entire world upgrades automatically. But here is the most important truth. You cannot pretend your way into a new identity. You must practice your way into it. Identity grows through action. You become confident by doing confident things. You become disciplined by practicing discipline. You become courageous by stepping into situations that require courage. Every action either strengthens or weakens your identity. When you consistently act like the person you want to become, your identity shifts to match your behavior. Identity is destiny because your life will always move in the direction of the person you believe yourself to be. If you believe you are powerful, you will walk in power. If you believe you are chosen, you will expect great things. If you believe you are created with purpose, everything in your life will begin aligning with that purpose. And once your identity rises, your results rise. Once your identity expands, your possibilities expand. Once your identity aligns with greatness, nothing in this world can keep you small. The final key to becoming truly unstoppable is mastering consistency, showing up with commitment long after the excitement has faded. Most people begin their journey with passion. Passion is easy. Motivation is easy. Inspiration is easy. But none of those qualities produce lasting transformation. Consistency is what separates those who dream from those who achieve. It is what transforms goals into results, routines into power, and intentions into reality. You cannot build anything meaningful with occasional effort. You build a powerful life the same way you build a strong body, repetition, discipline, and unwavering follow through. Consistency is not glamorous. It does not get applause. It does not feel exciting every day, but it is the quiet force that compounds into greatness. Think about it. One workout won't change your body. One act of courage won't change your character. One day of focus won't transform your future. Change happens when you repeat the right actions long enough that they become part of who you are. Consistency is not something you do. It becomes someone you are. Most people fail not because the goal is too big, but because their commitment is too small. They want rapid transformation without daily discipline. They want success without sacrifice. They want results without repetition. They don't realize that small actions repeated consistently produce massive impact over time. If you plant a seed today and dig it up every day to check on it, it will never grow. But if you water it, nurture it, and protect it consistently, it will eventually break the surface and become something undeniable. Your dreams are the same. They require consistent nurturing. Consistency is powerful because it builds trust within yourself. Every time you keep your promise to yourself, you strengthen your identity. You prove to yourself that your word has weight. You show yourself that you are reliable, that you can be counted on, that you are disciplined. People with weak consistency have weak self-trust. They doubt themselves because they know they don't follow through. But once you become consistent, you become confident. Not because of external achievements, but because you know that Waiwu will show up. That inner trust is the foundation of an unstoppable life. Another truth about consistency is that it multiplies your effort. When you do something once, it requires energy. When you do it repeatedly, it becomes a habit. When it becomes a habit, it becomes automatic. When it becomes automatic, it becomes effortless. Consistency takes work on the front end, but the payoff is exponential. If you do something every day, even for a few minutes, it compounds. One small discipline performed daily is more powerful than intense effort performed occasionally. It is the difference between temporary inspiration and permanent transformation. Consistency also eliminates excuses. When you are consistent, you stop negotiating with your feelings. You stop waiting for motivation. You stop waiting for the perfect moment. You show up whether you feel like it or not. You do what is required, not what is convenient. This mindset turns ordinary people into extraordinary achievers. Discipline replaces emotion. Vision replaces laziness. Purpose replaces procrastination. You realize that your feelings are not your leaders. Your commitment is. One of the greatest obstacles to consistency is perfectionism. Many people quit because they want everything to be perfect. They want perfect conditions, perfect timing, perfect confidence, perfect support. But perfectionism kills progress. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be consistent. Even imperfect progress will outperform perfect intentions. Consistency does not require perfection. It requires persistence. You may stumble, you may fall, you may have off days, but consistency means you keep getting back up and returning to your path. Another obstacle to consistency is comparison. When people compare themselves to others, they become discouraged. They think, I should be further, or why am I not like them? Comparison damages consistency because it shifts your focus from your lane to someone else's lane. But consistency requires focus. Focus on your journey, your process, your pace. You don't need to outrun anyone else. You only need to outrun who you were yesterday. The only competition that matters is the competition between your current self and your potential self. Consistency also requires clarity. You cannot be consistent when you don't know what you're aiming for. When you lack clear direction, everything becomes draining. But when your purpose is clear, your actions become structured. You know what you're building. You know what to say yes to. You know what to say no to. Consistency becomes easier when your path becomes clearer. This is why unstoppable people write their goals, track their progress, and plan their actions. They don't drift into greatness. They move into it intentionally. Another vital truth: consistency is fueled by vision. When your vision is strong enough, your discipline becomes natural. When you know what you are fighting for, sacrificing for, and building toward, your actions become aligned. People who quit easily are people without vision. People who stay consistent are people who know exactly where they're going. A compelling vision pulls you, strengthens you, and sustains you. It reminds you why the effort is worth it. Consistency also attracts opportunities. When people see that you show up regularly, they trust you. When you demonstrate reliability, doors open. When you prove your discipline, you earn favor. Consistency is a magnet. It pulls in resources, connections, and possibilities. The world rewards those who don't quit. But perhaps the most important aspect of consistency is the transformation it creates within you. You become sharper. You become sharper. You become more resilient. You become someone who can handle pressure, navigate challenges, and push through resistance. Consistency becomes your superpower, a force that makes you unstoppable. Because once you master the ability to show up every day, no setback can break you, no failure can defeat you, and no delay can discourage you. You become a force that life cannot slow down. Consistency creates a life others cannot predict, but you cannot help but produce. Because once you practice something long enough, your results stop being accidental and start being inevitable. You rise not because of luck, but because of discipline. You grow not because you wished for it, but because you worked for it. You succeed not because the path was easy, but because you refused to stop walking. So yes, the final key to becoming unstoppable is consistency, the ability to show up every day, the courage to repeat the right actions, the discipline to stay committed, the strength to push through boredom, discouragement, resistance, and fatigue, the determination to keep building even when no one is watching, and the faith to believe that your effort is compounding even when the results are not visible yet. Consistency is how ordinary people produce extraordinary outcomes. Consistency is how dreams turn into realities. Consistency is how the unstoppable are made. Once you master consistency, nothing in this world, not fear, not doubt, not difficulty, not circumstances will have the power to stop you.